Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever on Instagram, we are live for the Mike and Brooker Show. Here are your hosts, Mike and Brooker.
I'm live.
We are live and people are watching. So what's up? We got Coach K. We got, we raised 19 successful sleepers on here. So if you guys have a question, comment, or concern, you can actually put it in the comment section of the live stream and we can answer it live with you today.
Yeah, so it's a good thing we have a professional from Undefeated Media.
Oh, thank you.
In Dougie Fresh Media. We recorded this episode months ago before my daughter Alessia was born, who is now like 9 weeks old. And then we realized, so Brooker is my daughter's godfather, and he and his partner in crime came over, and now we have the baptism tomorrow. So I was like, you know what? Let's just actually do a couple of these episodes here in person. And Doug said he'd put it all together for us, and he's here we are. So this episode we recorded was about, I don't know, for those of you that know this, Brooker, he was in a fucking rowboat, like a rowboat from San Francisco to Hawaii. Was it San Francisco?
Yeah, Monterey, just a bit further south, but yeah.
A rowboat with 3 other guys, and he rowed the fucking boat from San Francisco to Hawaii. Just, well,
non-stop.
No, yeah, like that. Exactly.
Well, Matthew, you ready? This is
Zoom in.
Zoom in.
And it took you 30 days.
No. It took us 29 days, 17 hours, and 29
You got to round up on that. That's 30.
No. Tell them why it wasn't 30.
Oh, because you want to be shorter time? You want to like...
Is this the world record, my brother?
Oh, fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So
it's 27 days, actually.
This fucking lunatic and 3 other lunatics who are just savages.
Yes.
Did this feat. What did you eat?
Mostly ration packs, so like mountaineering food, like dehydrated spaghetti bolognese, chili con carne, chicken tikka masala, but it all kind of tasted the same.
That sounds fucking awful.
But at the same time, you're just kind of happy to have something going down, But they were that was the majority of the calories a day. I mean, I needed to try and eat, I think, 8,500 a day, and I wasn't getting close to that. It's just hard to get that many calories.
How many calories?
8,500. And I still lost.
Of dog shit food, yeah. Like in a package, in a wrapper.
Fair, some of the packages it was 1,000 calories a pack, so it was easy. But then when it starts, you have to start trying to work out other kind of numbers. But then apart from that, mate, we had also then snack packs, but we did the complete wrong thing. Like everyone told us, make sure you take the time to organize good food and test out different snacks. What did we do? We bought it all 2 days before we go.
He was texting me. He goes, mate, where can I get some macadamia nuts?
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Exactly. I need like 10 kilos of macadamia nuts. And all of this American sweets, like we're not used to that on our guts. All these Sour Patch Kids sweets and dark chocolate and different stuff like that. But no, mate, I mean, after a little while, it all goes down the same way. It bogs you up a little bit too, so you're not going to have the shits.
I was going to say, what was the shitting like?
It slows you down. So you usually go like once a day after the first couple of days when you get used to the dehydrated food. But the shitting actually, and that's the question that everybody always asks, how do you shit? Well, it's like every other time. You sit down. You don't lean off the boat because you're going to make it turn to one side and then everyone's upset. But you shit in a
And then covered in shit.
Well, maybe.
It depends with the process when the boat falls.
It could be. Or at least on your shoes.
Yeah.
And
there we go. That's better.
And yeah, no, mate. So you just sit on a nice industrial strength bucket. You hold onto the safety lines. You feel the breeze going between your legs. And rather than sit there looking at your phone, you're looking out at the endless ocean. Or you're looking each other deep in the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, with the ball bag out.
What? So like, are you guys in a line 1, 2, 3?
Exactly.
Is it narrow?
Exactly.
Is it like?
Yeah, it's pretty
do you have
narrow.
space?
It's like a meter, less than 1.5 meters wide, and then 8 meters long. But you Yanks ain't got a clue what meters are.
Yeah,
so
Just say yard. Just say yard. It's the same thing.
okay, there you go. Yeah,
8
so
yards.
it's pretty. I mean, it's not the smallest boat in the world, but it's certainly not big. Certainly not big. But the cabins on the front and back, the people at the back cabin, they have to have half of their body underneath the row deck, so it's very claustrophobic under there. And they have a lot of the like mechanical equipment in there, like the autopilot, the tiller, and all of that, and that's making quite a bit of noise, and all the navigational equipment. And then you got the boys at the front of the boat, and you got like it's like the deluxe suite. You can stretch out, you can sit up in there. You've got a lot of space to store things, and yeah, it's cushy. I mean,
And
if you
3 of you are
no,
using
so
all-
usually you go 2 boys on, usually 2 on, 2 off, and it's 2 hours. There's a change, but most of the time we didn't only go 2 up. I mean, most days we were donating extra time in the 3rd seat, so you could go 3 up if you wanted.
but it's all on your arms. It's all on you.
Well, actually, it's mostly legs, actually, because you have a sliding seat. So it's like a rowing machine, like a concept. But yeah, it's all on your own. It's all on your own power. And you actually, it's amazing how efficient and how safe and how quick these boats can go. To be honest, yeah,
That's incredible.
You said how safe.
yeah, they are safe.
He made it.
No. The fucking boat is safe.
The boat's safe.
The ocean ain't fucking safe.
No, the ocean's not. Well, yeah, the ocean's not that safe. But I mean, look, the first week we were in really minging weather. So let's put it this way: we left California. They were thinking about delaying the race for a couple of days because there was big storms coming in.
That's right. I remember that.
In the end, I don't believe we did delay it. No, we didn't. No, we definitely.
No, you
didn't.
started on time.
We started on time, and it was relatively calm going out. So as we left the port in Monterey, we actually saw a couple whales. One even waved to us, and I thought that was kind of cool, or maybe that's a bit of an omen.
What do you mean?
Like turn around.
Yeah, like as in, right, see you later. You ain't coming back.
You're mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Could the whale take the whole boat in one bite? Like, is that like?
Oh, it wasn't such a big whale. It wasn't such a big whale.
What kind of whale was
Could a
it?
whale,
Humpback?
Could a big
Humpback.
whale do it? Could a big
Could a
whale
big whale?
like swallow you up?
Oh fuck, maybe a huge one. I don't know though. No, 8
No, they
meters
can't
is
open their
fine.
mouths like that, can they? They got like those bristle things in
I
there.
don't know.
For someone that's been on the ocean,
Not a
that long,
killer
I ain't
whale,
got a
but like
clue.
there's something big.
Something cute. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Like those
Maybe.
ones that have like the big chin and they like just swim like that.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't know.
Whales with chins?
Yeah, it's got that big chin.
The Jay Leno whale?
Huge chin, dude. I don't know what it's called. Huge chin. The orcas, the killer whales, you ever see Free Willy, they'll like nose you. They'll like poke at
They'll
you.
do more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they'll bite and like hit. But there's one that just swims with its mouth open. And it eats all the little fish that it catches.
So Brooker, keep going. Tell me more. So the day of the race,
Yeah.
what the fuck? So you and I talked. We talked up until like the hour you left.
Yeah.
What is going through your fucking mind?
Honestly, we're ready to do this. It was like over 2 years of thinking about it. I mean, from the original conception of the idea, the team changed. It was on its 3rd iteration. It was a long campaign of trying to raise money. You have to do a lot of different training camps. We had a really good coach who I have to give a big shout out to, Duncan Rowan Roy. We should put, if we can, Dougie Fresh, somehow tag him in this.
At Rowan Roy.
I think
Is
it's
it
at
13 Rowan?
Yeah. 13 Rowan.
How do you spell it?
Rowan?
How do you spell his Instagram account?
FU.
Someone's got to have that
We'll
tag.
do it on the back end.
Okay.
We'll do it on the back end. And so, yeah, there was a lot of different training camps. There were, you have to do certain courses and stuff like that, as well as also time on the water, like offshore on the water. So it's a long and arduous process. They say 90% of people don't make it to the start line. How true that is, I don't know, but I can imagine that it's got more truth than
90% of your fucking original team didn't make it to the starting line.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. So definitely a bit of a slog to get there. But no, I mean, on the day, really ready to get going now. I mean, we're already 2 weeks. We were there 2 weeks before the race starts, so we're already, not with our families. We've got nothing going on. With the boat's ready. We've been talking about it now for ages. Let's just fucking go.
What does it cost to do this?
So,
what did your boat cost?
The boat cost, I think, what was it in the end? I think it was about 90 grand.
Oh!
The boat cost.
But it's an asset, right? Like it doesn't depreciate.
No, and there's a good market for second hand. Like I could sell it for at least 75, if not 80 grand.
Yeah, all right. So
should put a couple sponsor stickers on there.
Well, you did.
I did.
That's how they paid for the motherfucker.
Yeah, for sure. But then you have other costs, like for example, cost into the race itself, I believe, is 25 grand.
Wait. These guys, they charged you?
Yeah.
They own the water?
That's what they own the route. What was it, East India Trading Company or some shit, right?
To be honest, I wasn't sure at the beginning about, 25 grand to enter a race. But this company are really fucking fantastic. The staff are great. It is an unsupported race.
What does that mean?
So that means that there is no... there's no safety vessel next to you, so if you want a fucking sandwich, they can make you one and throw it on there, or if you want to get off the boat, you want to quit, they can just quickly pick you up, and then you're back on land.
How far away are you from help? Like if shit hits the fan, I'm done. Like how long until I actually can get the fuck off this boat?
It all depends. Depends how far away you are from the coast. They say you could be up to 5 days away from help.
5 days.
Some parts, and in some parts of the ocean, the closest other humans to you are the ones in the space station.
5 motherfucking days.
Yeah, well, there was a poor guy recently, rest in peace, Alistair, but in the Atlantic race that just happened.
Oh yeah,
he had a heart attack.
That's right,
he passed away. An elderly gentleman from Team Aussie Old Salts.
How elderly?
I don't know. I don't want to say, but he was an older bloke.
What a savage!
Yeah,
the guy was in a rowboat.
But he was a serious savage. He was also, if I remember correctly, I could also be wrong, but he was also a decorated soldier from Australia and stuff like that. Like he was a bad man.
Anyone that gets on these things is not normal, right? Like there's nothing. There's.
You say that, mate, but there are housewives that do this kind of stuff. It's not just one kind of person, and that's actually really interesting about this race, because you'd probably think, well, let's say me and you coach athletes. What would you say is the criteria? And then we'll use Dougie, who's obviously world-class producer over here, a bit different from sports. What would you imagine? Who would be a good candidate to row across an ocean? What would you say? If you had to pick.
To row across an ocean, motherfucker. Well, at their own, at their own will.
Mm.
Like no one's gun to my head, nothing like that. Like I'm volunteering. Well, motherfucker just needs to not quit.
Right.
That's all it is. Like there's no. To me, it's like there's no.
What kind of background would you say? What would you say would be good?
Wrestling.
No. I don't think it matters.
There's a lot of legs. Well, you got to take effect. It's a lot of legs.
No way. No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of legs.
It's all willpower.
Dude, it's all mindset. Rowing across an ocean voluntarily is 100% mindset. There's no doubt. Like you could be 9 feet tall and a world-class rower. It doesn't matter, because after day one, like it's how badly do you want to do this, right? Like. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're more right than wrong, that's for sure. Usually a lot of people, there's always army teams that go in, and everyone always thinks that they're going to be, dominant, and sometimes they are, but a lot of the times they're not as great as people were expecting. You've also had, and even in our race, the team that comes second, there was an Olympic medalist rower on their team. There have been other teams. There's a great documentary on an American team. I can't remember what college they came from. They were 4 varsity rowers, and they came over, and 2 of them ended up quitting, and one of them had such bad seasickness for 5 days or whatever. He was in a bad way, and he had to get saved. And then one of the other boys was like, "Fuck this, man! I want to get off the boat." So it's not always the people that you would expect that do really good in this endeavor. But yeah, it's certainly a lot of willpower. And Duncan, actually, again, shouting out to Dunks, he said a lot of the time dads do really good. like people that are parents, because a lot of the time
You gotta get home.
well, that, but you're also used to just doing what needs to be done, even if you're fucking knackered and you don't want to do it. Right?
Yeah.
And we're all parents. We know what that's like. So
Shit.
And that 25 grand doesn't include a helicopter that comes saves you.
no, but it includes many things. Like, for example, like making sure that you're doing the right things to be fully prepared to do this, which is a lot. Like I said, lots of courses, lots of different things like that. You also have then 2 weeks before the race start where they help and give you access to all knowledge and information possible for the endeavor. You have a safety support team that are constantly watching out for you. So even if they're not close by and they're on land, they're still there to help you out. There's then a whole media team. There's, a welcome party for when you arrive. They help to liaise with all your family and friends to keep you up to date with everything. There's then awards ceremony. So it's still a fair cost, but there's also, it's a fantastic company. It's a fantastic race. Like, I'm going again.
What do you mean you're going again?
I'm going again.
What do you mean?
I'm going again. I'm going
You
different
gonna do
ocean.
this shit again?
Yeah, I'm going again. I knew it before I got off the boat that I was going to go again. And that's typically...
You do the same fucking route?
I ain't going to do the same ocean. No, I do a different ocean, because this is also one of the points. So as I said,
like a smaller ocean? Like, well, you did the Pacific, so it's got to be a smaller ocean, like the Indian Ocean?
No, the Indian takes longer, mate. The Indian Ocean, that's a beast. So I don't know about the Indian Ocean, but I want to do the Atlantic.
So you want to go from what country to what country?
It's from La Gomera in Tenerife.
Where the fuck is that? I'm from America.
It's like a little island close to Africa. It's a Spanish island close to Africa. It's where a lot of Germans go for hiking holidays and stuff.
Bird says the Chris Columbus route. Thank you, Bird.
Oh, is that what that is? Or is he asking?
He's
I
asking.
guess so, yeah. I think
Christopher
that's
Columbus
the mid-Atlantic route. And then it finishes in Antigua in the Caribbean.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. And as I said, at the beginning we saw whales, but then after that we didn't see nothing. We saw nothing. And I'd heard stories about people saying you're going to get bored of seeing all the dolphins and you're going to see whales and you see loads of things. Didn't see much. We saw some jellyfish. We saw a lot of plastic. We saw...
A lot of plastic. What kind of plastic?
All sorts. Everything from like volleyballs, freezer cabinets, like the shelves.
Wilson. You saw Wilson.
That's right there. I said the same thing when he called me.
And just like random shit, like a Coca-Cola bottle or something like that. And then we saw some flying fish. Got one in the eye once, but they were only little, so it wasn't too bad. And that's why I also...
How big's a little flying fish that
honestly,
goes in your eye?
Little, like this big.
Oh, so about 9 inches.
Is that 9 inches?
About 9 inches.
Then I'm packing.
Took a 9-incher to the face.
So yeah.
So the first, I remember you telling me the first day, or the first week was just mayhem.
First week's mayhem. So we were...
And it took you 29 days, and the first 7 days, so literally the first quarter of this was just...
awful. Yeah, really awful. But we'd prepared for it. We knew it. We'd heard that the first 3 days, you wished you would never done this, because it's just such a shock to the body.
Did you wish that at any point?
No.
Did anyone in your boat wish that at any point?
Not that we spoke out loud, and I honestly don't believe so. I think we actually built it up to be even worse. We thought it would be even worse than it was, but that's not to take away anything from how rough it was. So of the entire fleet, there were only really 2 teams that progressed into this big storm. Like I said, so the first 2 days, it was pretty okay. Or certainly the first day and night was okay. Then it starts to build up and then it gets really big and nasty. And because you're coming a wave, you're trying to...
What's big and nasty?
Big and nasty is like 20, 30 foot waves on the side of the boat.
So measure the wave for it. So waves go from the low end of the swell to the high end of the swell, or is it from the midline up?
No, I'm talking from... It's hard to really get a complete gauge on it, especially when it's dark. But all it was like mountains, never-ending mountains hitting the boat and trying to capsize you all the time.
Did you get pissed or did you get like afraid?
No. More, you had no time really to be afraid because you had no time to be tired, and you had no time to be sore because you knew that your man that you need to change over with is knackered and really wants to get off, and he's soaking wet and cold and tired. And then as soon as you get on and you realise, holy shit, this is what the deal is and this is what's going on, you just went as hard as possible just to try and keep control of the boat, because the quicker the kind of boat was going, the more stable it was. Sometimes it went the wrong way. But of all the, and this is, I want to say this because I want to give credit to the boys. No one bitched and moaned.
Who are the boys?
The boys, so we had Rich Henderson was the day one from university. Love that boy. Lives in New Zealand. He's the reason why we had the Kiwi in the Kiwi Fondue name. He was born in Hong Kong, grew up in England. Now he lives in New Zealand. He'd sailed part of the world already, and he's a kind of a big wave surfer. So he was our waterman, as well as also one of the best. There's Rich has many good qualities, but he also can fix anything.
I bet that's useful.
Yeah, that was
you had a rudder break or some shit, right?
That was in the build-up. So
that's right. That's right.
We had some interesting training roles, and then I could talk all day about how great they are. But Richie boy, and then two brothers, Alex Gameter and Lawrence Gameter. Alex Gameter is a mountain guide, fucking machine.
What's a mountain guide? What do you mean?
Like as in he takes people into the mountains. He was who I was just with in Norway. So he leads expeditions all around the world. He's also done first ascents and first descents. Just a bad man. He can go all day long. For me, mountaineering is one of the most. I mean, rowing an ocean too now, but in general, mountaineering is one of the most honest sports there is. There's no fucking cheating it. Even if you've got really lightweight equipment, at the end you still got to put one foot in front of the other to get to the top.
Honest
you
sport.
got to go through the weather. You got to go through. You're starving and whatever. You're either freezing cold or boiling hot. You're not going to be something in between. But his entire life is he booked all the time to mountaineer, and he's also a notary on the side. And then his younger brother Lawrence, who was the last one to come into the team, but a fantastic addition. He's a project manager, he's a carpenter, also can fix anything, and he's also got that same trait like his brother. He just goes all day long, and he's also a very calm, relaxed, happy guy, very peaceful dude.
Just like me.
Exactly like me. Exactly. Carbon copy of you. And yeah, so coming back to that, the reason why I wanted to bring that up is signing up to this race, we knew that they recommended that people should have rowed an ocean before doing this, because this is a much more difficult ocean to row than the Atlantic.
You said this was the most difficult boat race that you could possibly have?
Well, it's called the world's toughest row.
Yeah.
And that's now rebranded, and that now includes the Atlantic. But this was the inaugural race. They had no idea how it was going to go.
Yeah, why not jump right in with both feet?
Fucking perfect.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Perfect. And they recommended, and the fleet actually consisted of a lot of people. Most teams had at least someone who'd rowed an ocean already. And the reason being is because coming off of the coast of California, you have to, I think it's, 300 or 500 nautical miles until you're in the deep water, because you have the continental shelf and you have all the bad weather.
What's deep water?
Like as in
2 miles down deep?
Even more. Deep water, right? And then you have all the weather systems coming from north, so from Alaska, right? And that's what's coming onto the beam, because if you watch how the weather systems work, they work in spirals, right?
So what's the difference between the deep water and the not deep water in regards to rowing conditions then?
So what it does is it's the periods between the weight, like in the swell. So before you get into deep water, the waves it's like you're still getting smashed from the sides, and maybe the waves ain't as big, even though they were still big, but they're much more close together. In the deeper water, they're usually bigger, but there's more space in between, so you kind of, you're not getting as sort of slapped by it, Exactly.
They
It's
don't
a bit
really
more,
have a peak like we know at the shore. They're not like crashing. They're
More
more
like rolling
mountains.
waves.
Exactly. There were waves that were crashing, and they were the ones
In the middle of the ocean.
That's crazy.
They were the ones that would tip us. And
Did you capsize?
We didn't capsize, but we tipped quite a few times.
Oh, that's right. You broke your ribs.
Well, I thought I broke my ribs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did something to my ribs. I mean, they had to pop them back in at the end when it was done. Yeah, when I was in Vancouver.
How long
got
into it were you? Was it like day 5 and out of 29 days?
I think it was like day.
I think it was 4.
Jesus.
Yeah, day 4, day 5.
Yeah.
Me and the mountain guide, we got smashed by a wave from the side, and it hit us in the chest, and it sent us both flying out of our seats. And it's very strange. You get the pain in the weirdest places, and I didn't tie my shoes up because my ankles hurt so bad. The tendons
like
from my
swollen?
tips.
Oh,
Because it's
yeah.
imagine that the boat's rocking and the only thing I'm fixed to is the foot plate. So I've got all my body weight leaning back, going through my ankle. So it's just an isometric hold for 2 hours, or not 2 hours because you're not always on it, but a lot throughout the day. So I had it felt like tendonitis. So I didn't have my shoes done up too well, and then this wave hit, sent me flying, and left one of my shoes in the foot plate. And as I went backwards, I hit my my back on the foot plate behind me, which was just really strong plastic edge that just winded me like fuck. And somehow I could row fine, but getting in and out of bed and getting changed was awful for the first week afterwards. And then I remember I called Mike.
Out of place.
I called Mike. He's like, yeah, don't worry. After 2 weeks, it will be better. And it was pretty much on the spot. 2 weeks, it was all good.
So you know how I knew it was 2 weeks? Because I had just popped my rib out.
Really?
Yeah. We had the wrestlers, the Hibblers.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah,
the homeschool kids.
Yeah.
So the one of them is they're all really good wrestlers, but he's
What is it? Sage, Augie, Rayna, and it's Augie. Or did
you
I
said
say
Augie. You said Augie.
Augie, Sage, Rayna.
Siege.
Sorry. And Hibbler?
That's their last name.
Ah, that's their last. Oh, fuck. What's the other one?
Don't worry. I'll let you think of it.
Yeah.
I'll let you think of it. So anyway, I'm wrestling Augie because Augie's just mouthy as fuck. And actually, I didn't start wrestling. I was like, he lift his shirt up. He's flexing the mirror. I was like, bro, you're 150 pounds. Like, put your shirt down. Like, don't be flexing anywhere. What do you think you're doing? So I said, how about this? We're going to go upstairs because we had the mats upstairs. So we're going to wrestle. And if you beat me, you take your shirt off. I thought I beat the fuck out of him. So we went upstairs, and I'd been in the middle of carnivore, so I was down to like 185, so I wasn't as big as I usually was. So I was only 35 pounds heavier than a kid. He took third in the states this year, but like he should have won states this year. He's really, really good. He's going to Northwestern on a scholarship. He's really, really good. And I opened my mouth. Like, I shouldn't have opened my fucking mouth. Like, so I have him in a Russian front, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucking tired. Like, I forgot it because I used to wrestle, but I was like, oh man, I forgot. Like, there's in shape and then there's wrestling shape, and on top of it, I'm not nearly as big as I usually am because I'm dieting down. I'm usually like 205, so I just like crank him over. So I was like, maybe I just choke this motherfucker out and just be done with this. Like, just hold it. And I went and I like cranked him and tried to crank him and like break his fucking neck. And to his credit, like, he held on, and then like, I'm calling it a draw because I was like, yo, I'm done.
You gassed.
We did 2 rounds. I was like, yo, I'm fucking done. But afterwards, I don't know if you could. Oh, I pulled out.
That's the good way to go about things sometimes.
I don't know if you could see, like right
yeah.
there. This one pops out more than this one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what fucking happened. So 2 weeks later, my ribs were fine. That's the only reason I know. But go on. Enough with that fucking bullshit segue. Go on.
No problem. And then so I don't know if we're talking going back to this first time period. It was wet and nasty and cold and big and scary, but the boat is fucking fantastic. And I think that's also how we even got onto this point. These boats are really well made. They've even gone through hurricane conditions, and as long as you're disciplined, which means that you're, tied on. So you have a harness and a clip, and you're tied onto the jackstay, which is, going into the main frame of the boat. And you keep the cabin doors closed because they create a seal. So no matter what, even if you capsize, it will self-right. Right? You're laughing. It's okay. It's just about your own personal comfort level out there, which I guess is really the secret to all of it.
Personal comfort. Where the fuck do you sleep?
Yeah, in the cabin. So you have cabin front and back. You really only take about 2 steps at a time. And from the cabin is 2 steps to then the row seat.
2 steps?
You're not walking around much. You go from sleeping to sitting and rolling.
Just rolling over.
Like 2
Pretty
steps.
much 2 steps from your cabin to the row seat, and then the boys, you don't really cross over. So the guy who's rowing in the sort of the last place isn't going to sleep then in the back of the boat. It's the guy who's in the stroke seat that's going to sleep in the back. The guy who's rowing behind and is more the engine is going to be in the front of the boat.
So, what was the sleeping situation like?
Yeah, the sleep.
So what he's not saying is the word coffin. That's what he's not saying, and I know that word. Please describe how you sleep.
In the back cabin. So I have to also give credit. I was in the front cabin. The front cabin's deluxe queen size bed compared to the back cabin, right? The only thing with being in the front cabin is there's more space for you to get thrown around. So when the boat does tip and nearly capsize, you can end up on the ceiling or getting smashed into the side. Whereas the boys in the back, their legs, half of their body is not trapped, but very tight underneath the row deck. So even where the seats are going, their legs are underneath it. And so it's really very much only their upper body that's got freedom, and got the height space in there. And sleep-wise, you get used to it. You're so knackered. You're not used to doing 12 hours plus a day of exercise. And of course, you can go intense or not, but we were going intense. Our goal was to go as fast as possible. We knew we had a really strong competitor and that we had to go hard every single shift, which we did. So going to sleep wasn't a problem. Waking up sometimes was an issue, but none of our boys ever missed a shift or something. Sometimes you had to wake them up because their phone alarm just wasn't going off. And, I would have the phone sometimes on my head and it's vibrating and it's not waking me up, or between the pillow and my head and it's not getting me. Sometimes you wake up your buddy and then he's like, yeah, I'm good. And then you're rowing and you're like, fucking hell, I woke him up, 10 minutes ago. What's going on? And then you go there and you see he's got one sock on and he's just passed out on the side trying to get himself ready.
So guys, you only slept 2 hours at a time?
No, you didn't sleep 2 hours at a time because you had other things to do. In the nighttime shifts, you'd probably, if you could, you'd sleep an hour and a half. That's like max that you could ever really sleep, because you still need to, as soon as you finish your shift, you need to eat, you need to drink, you need to clean yourself off, you need to put talcum powder on your bum, sort that out, or pseudo cream or whatever. You have to do any other jobs on board that need to be done. Then sleep.
Like what jobs?
There'd be all sorts of jobs. Making water. You have to make water every day. So
how do you make water?
So we have a water maker which sucks seawater in, and then it uses high pressure through a membrane that then creates...
Like reverse osmosis? Or what?
I don't know if it's reverse osmosis, the actual process of it. It could be. But I just know that it uses there's a filter, and it uses high pressure to push through. Then there's a waste product, and then you have actually, sort of portable drinking water. And we would need 40 litres of that a day.
Would you have to boil that or anything, or you could just drink it straight?
You could drink it straight, but we would then boil it and then put it into flasks using a jet boil, and then put it into flasks so that then you could eat hot meals. Some people don't want hot meals. I always liked hot meals. It seemed like it would digest better, and it's also nicer. Even when it was, it went from cold, wet and miserable, and this is actually a quote from Jason Caldwell, so I'll shout out to him too.
Who's Jason Caldwell?
He was the skipper of the previous world record holding team of this crossing.
Okay.
And he's also Latitude 35 is the name of his consulting company. He's a really great dude. He come to meet us in Monterey, and when we asked him how was the crossing, he was like, yeah, it was cold, wet and miserable, and then it was baking hot and miserable, and that's pretty much how it went, because it went from cold and horrible to then literally in the space of an hour, so hot it was unbearable sometimes.
So, hey Matthew, have you been paying attention to this at all, or are you kind of zoning out, just doing the camera stuff? Okay, so he says he's paying attention. So, did you get a good idea as to how Brooker actually slept?
No.
No, thank you.
Like,
fucking thank you.
lay all the ship. Like I don't understand. Like I'm just confused about how you're sleeping and like how big is the ship and.
That's what I was trying to get to before, because like you're pushing this whole thing yourself.
Yeah.
So like, give us a visual of
Paint
like
a fucking picture,
how big
bro.
is this boat?
Can you put?
Like, is this? I could probably pull it up.
Can you pull it up?
I could probably pull it up. What am I putting in?
the
Like
team name-
3-man little boat?
So,
No,
so
go
Matthew,
on.
so Brooker would sleep with his
Go on,
face right next to a fucking ceiling, and in a space this big. Like, what would you say? Would you say 12 inches? 12 inches long is in the space that you would kind of fit in between?
So because he's saying like
Yeah.
I would think that, but then he's saying he's doing all this other stuff. So I'm like confused as to how big the boat is to do all this other stuff.
So yeah. So how is the boat spaced out so people can really appreciate how fucking miserable this was? Because you said I was in the Queen Deluxe. Like, guys, it was not a Queen Deluxe. He was in. Probably, how long was your space? 6 feet long, and how wide was it?
All right, so we got
inside the cabin.
No,
Where I
just
was,
just
or the
where
boat.
you sleep. Just where you
Where
sleep.
I sleep. So like I said, I had the nice quarters, right? Let's say, and you have a cabin on the front of the boat. The boat is shaped like a bullet, right? And we're at the front of the boat.
Let me pull it up. So hold
You can
on.
pull it up.
We're pulling it up. So here's one of the pictures of the boat.
Right. Yeah. So
that's-
that's the back cabin, but you can get a picture of the boat from the side, maybe. If you keep scrolling, you'll see there'll be one eventually, right?
Yeah. So look at this. These are guys just. That's how skinny the boat is.
The boat's skinny, yeah.
But it's still, that looks like it weighs a ton. 3 dudes are pushing that for 29 days.
Yeah.
With cabins underneath it and supplies.
No,
Well,
no,
it's
no
for-
cabins underneath.
No cabins. No cabins.
No cabins underneath. The only thing that's
Where are
under,
the cabin? Where are you sleeping?
So we're sleeping at the back there, like I said, at the back side,
Just hanging
half
off
of
the
the
boat.
body. No, there's a door. Keep going.
That's what I'm saying. Where's the cabin?
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't do a good enough job explaining how miserable this is.
Right. It wasn't that miserable, bro.
Yeah, bro, this is my Matthew. This is my fucking nightmare. You're literally sleeping in close quarters like you're in a coffin.
There we go.
Look. There we go.
Whoa,
Right.
This thing says Happy Days on it?
Yeah, that's the name of the boat, bro. Happy days.
Happy days, my ass.
And we had happy days every fucking day. Let me tell you.
Pack of sardines.
Yes, like sardines.
Yeah.
That's how he slept, like a fucking sardine.
So that little blue door in the back, you would open
Yeah.
that and just lay down and sleep in there.
Yeah, and sleep in there.
Right there with your feet
Yeah.
sticking out.
No, the feet weren't sticking out because you had.
Well,
well,
the feet went underneath, like you said. They went underneath.
So not
your
in that
body.
front cabin. So that front cabin is actually a little bit bigger than it looks like on the photo,
Okay.
to be honest, right? But the back cabin is not any bigger than that. What it looks like there. So
Gotcha.
like I said, half of the body is going underneath where he's sitting there rowing. It's going underneath,
Gotcha.
right? And then in the front cabin, like I said, I would say you had about 6 foot of space to lie down in. But yeah, it's not like you can be.
was it hot? Was
standing
it
up.
ventilated? Was it musty? Like,
No, it
describe
was-
this, please.
It was so all right. So it depends on what the weather conditions are like. When it's cold, it's fucking freezing cold, but it's always humid in there. And the worst conditions is when it's cold and humid, because then everything gets soaking wet.
Oh,
It's horrible, right?
and you're miserable the
And
whole
you're
fucking
miserable.
time.
And you're freezing, right? And you're having to get changed into your dry clothes and then get into like a really warm sleeping bag, and then eventually
You were still in a sleeping bag?
in the cold weather for sure.
Wasn't the sleeping bag soaked?
Yeah, but then you don't use down, you use synthetic. Like you use a synthetic fibre. So the sleeping bag might still be wet, but the poor boys in the back, their cabin was completely flooded, I think, for the more or less the entire time they were there. And because the cushions as well, they weren't lined in plastic, which is actually a bit silly that they're done like that. We will make that upgrade coming up the next time. They just soaked up all the water like a fucking sponge, you know. Like the poor boys in the back. Like, I mean, me and Lawrence, I mean, you know, we had it really nice compared to those boys in the back of the boat.
So real quick, Bird asks, how was it rowing in the pitch black with the moonlight on the waves?
Yeah. So I mean, again, depends on the weather conditions. In the pitch black, when it's big and nasty, it's petrifying because you're not quite sure what's coming at any point. Sometimes you can just hear it coming. We had also times where it was pitch black. The ocean was like glass, and it was reflecting the stars, the Milky Way from above, and it was like flying through space. It was like taking LSD or something. It was amazing experience, and it was so still. Everything, there was no wind. It was just so trippy and incredible. We saw a lot of shooting stars. The other boys, not on my shift, but the other boys saw a meteor, big green meteor going over.
A meat eater?
A big one. And then we also had bioluminescence going on too, which was also really great with the stars going there. So every stroke of the oar, it would just, and that's really nice. Actually, maybe there's also another beautiful video there that you can get of when the oar goes through the water, the ripples that it creates when the ocean's still. That with the bioluminescence is absolutely magical. You're just transfixed by it as you're rowing. It's a very beautiful moment. And honestly, also the night times were, looking back, were the best moments of the entire trip. And the reason being is that we knew that we had a very strong competitor. As I said, Ocean Warrior from Denmark, and we knew that we had to really. Like, they were the favourites to win by far. They had way more experience than us. They had an Olympic medalist rower. They had an upgraded boat compared to ours, a lighter version, a carbon version.
Mm-hmm. It was Ivan Drago versus Rocky.
Exactly.
That's exactly.
That's exactly.
And you were in the fucking barn of a boat.
Exactly. And we knew that it meant every shift was important. Now, if you're getting a shift at 9 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, anyone can row hard, but when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're not really paying attention to each other because you're tired, you could easily just sit there and go through the motions. But I mean, literally every 0.1 knot of speed is important, and you could do that with just a bit of intention. So every single oar stroke, and that over the course of this entire duration, you're doing over 1 million oar strokes. But every single one of them is important because every 4 hours...
Are you actually doing 1 million oar strokes?
Over 1 million.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, and that every 4 hours, your location is getting pinged onto yellow brick.
So they know exactly where you are.
So everyone knows where everyone is.
By the way, day one, maybe the first 4 days, there was this one boat that you just see like this dotted line of it just going in fucking circles and circles.
Yeah,
like people couldn't escape day one. He didn't
get out.
Bro, he didn't do a good job explaining how awful the fucking seas were day one.
It's true, I didn't. So I wanted to say about, there's so much to say, and this is the first time I've really talked about this, and it's nearly a year, and it's nearly been a year since we started this, so it's been a bit of a long time. But there was a lot of teams that had previous ocean rowing experience, but there was only 2 teams that were really competitive in the race, and that was us and this Ocean Warriors team, because the majority of the fleet, it was only us 2 that went into the big weather in the first days. The rest stayed back.
I didn't know that.
They stayed back.
Okay.
Some teams were still trying to go out,
dude,
but they were struggling.
Some guy was fucking docked.
Yeah,
he didn't move for days.
Yeah,
I was like, why the fuck are you even there? Just go home.
There were a couple teams that were there for over a week. So.
And they just couldn't get past that swell or those waves, that storm?
I think it was they either couldn't, or they didn't want to, or they were hoping and waiting until it passed. I don't know. I can't talk for their behalf.
Dude, going in a circle, like...
but going around in a circle, the way that you anchor, it's not like a boat. You do have an anchor for when you're close to shore, but it's too deep already for that. So the way you use, so say like, for example, if a hurricane came out of nowhere, let's say, and it's like too dangerous to be out on the deck, you put a para anchor out, and a para anchor is a 10 meter diameter parachute that you throw into the water with a 70 meter line, right? And then that basically opens up under the water, and it holds a ton of water. And so basically then the wind will push the boat, so that then like I said, the boat's like a bullet, so that then the wind can pass over the boat, and that parachute's trying to slow you down from getting pushed miles and miles off course. And that's what a lot of the teams went on to at the beginning.
So talk to me more about just how fucking gorgeous it was.
Oh, bro, it was the best. And like I said,
Do you have any pictures of just like the serenity like that? So it's stuff like that makes me think like, man, be cool to be out there, but like you gotta get out there first, and then you gotta get home. You know, like what do you have any pictures from any of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if you go through the Insta, you can find quite some nice. I mean,
and what's that Insta handle again?
Kiwi Fondue.
Kiwi Fondue.
Best team name ever in the history of ocean rowing. That's what I've heard from many people.
So, like Mike's saying, there are the beautiful times, right? You talked a lot about how it's a struggle, it is a task. So my question is, what made you want to do this?
We talked about this the other day. I still don't. I mean, I kind of understand them, but like
the truth is the way that I found this out was with a Google search, because it was during the COVID time, and I was like, "Fuck me, man! I need to do something. I really need a new adventure." So I just Googled what's the world's hardest challenge, and then somehow I come across this race. And then originally I thought we were going to be doing the Atlantic. But then there was a huge waiting list, and I was like, no, I don't want to wait 3 years, 4 years, whatever. And I said to the company, if there's an opening, if you give me 6 months notice, I can organize everything, which thank God they never did, because I would never have been able to organize everything. But they did say, you seem eager, I'll put your name on a VIP list because maybe there's a new thing coming, but I can't tell you yet what it is. And then eventually I get this email. You've been invited to the inaugural race of the Pacific on these dates, blah 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 blah, and the reason why I wanted to do it is I don't know, if I was in a previous life I would have been one of those guys that would join like Shackleton's expeditions. I think maybe I wouldn't have had the balls, but I don't know. I'd like to think.
What expedition?
Yeah, like Shackleton's Arctic expeditions. He used to recruit people through the newspapers, and I don't know what there is. There's something that calls me to the different adventurous stuff. I mean, I've done overland motorbike and stuff like that as well with no experience. I mean, I had no experience rowing. I'd never rowed a boat. I've been a coach since I was 18 years old. How many times you go on the row machine? I fucking hate the row machine. I don't even give it to the clients. And I love to kill them, but I don't even put them on the row machine. I hate rowing. But I don't know. It was just about being out there in the ocean and just having this kind of experience. And also really what I loved the idea of was the teamwork, that you'd have to work together to successfully navigate it. And that's also why I like a lot of mountaineering stuff, is you have to work together. You're fully present because you're adapting to ever-changing conditions with the weather and stuff like that. And you're really pushing yourself beyond anything of what you believed. And some people also feel comfortable in that real uncertainty, and I'm one of those people. Being like the same mundane stuff day over day, that is not good. That's not good for me. I don't thrive in these conditions. Then I'm going to do something stupid. I need to have the odd thing that's like, I don't know if I can really do this, if I'm completely honest. I'm not qualified. I'm not ready. So I need to pull my finger out, really focus, work hard on it, and then enter this and then just give it my best shot. Because, yes, we've got the world record. Yes, we won, and that was all beautiful and great. And for sure, there was a part of me at the beginning that was like, yes, it's a possibility we can get the world record. Let's try and get it. And I did say that to a few people. But deep down, did I think we were going to do it? Really going to do it? No. And we certainly weren't. We didn't deserve, we weren't owed it from, our previous experience or accolades or anything like that. We weren't. It was just, we put ourselves in the right position and we worked really hard. And the harder you work, sometimes the luckier you get. And then we were lucky that we got into this. And, there was something I forgot to say. You were saying about the serenity. There were very serene moments. But, you always wish it's different.
What do you mean?
So, when it was big and horrible and nasty and all on the side, right? That's not good. When the waves are behind you, it's happy days. You're surfing. It's great fun. And it's like music's blaring, everyone's happy, the waves are pushing you in the right direction, the wind is helping you out. It's all going forwards, right? But when it's all coming from the sides, everything's uncomfortable and it's like trying to knock you off course. So you're doing everything in your power just to keep the boat going in the direction that you want. when it was big and nasty, I could not wait for the waves to stop. I couldn't wait. And then what happened? The waves stopped and the wind stopped. Then it became a mill pond. So it's like glass. That was all fun for about 3.5 minutes before you realise that every oar stroke is like a max effort deadlift. Because it's the drag.
Huh.
You have there's way more surface tension. There's nothing helping you out. The water's like mud.
Huh.
And then it starts to get hot at that same time. So then you're like, fuck, I wished for this. And then you're like, right, well, I just wish that now I've got, wind and waves from the backside. And, we had a lot of that, and that was awesome and great fun. And I didn't really wish for that to stop much, to be honest. But I did learn that you got to be careful what you wish for, because, you always end up getting it. But when you were saying about the serenity moment, the best moments, honestly, mate, that I have are at night times, because our game plan was every night we want to win the nights. We want to do the most distance at night time, because that is the most psychologically damaging thing, especially if you're working hard at night. If you're being lazy and someone's caught up with you or gained a lot of distance on you at night time, then you can be like, yeah, well, we didn't really try. But if you're trying, and bearing in mind from the beginning of the race, there was only a period of about 8 hours, I believe. Maybe it was up to half a day. I can't really remember. We were the leaders of the race, which we weren't expecting from the beginning, and we certainly weren't expecting to be at the end, right? So we knew that at the night time we had to dominate. And what we did was we used every trick in the book. We had crazy blaring music. We would scream and shout. We would roar. We would slap ourselves in the face. We would do everything possible. And at night time, we came alive. And we worked hard. And you know what that's like when you got that atmosphere where everyone's grinding like an absolute savage. And I mean, we were working as hard as possible, and the conditions weren't always great, and it's also dark. So sometimes you're right and fight, and then all of a sudden a wave would come and nearly smash you out. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Who else in the world right now is in the middle of the ocean, working like an absolute savage? No one can see us, only us on board, but we just loved it. And that for me was the best moment of it. And that's when I knew also I've got a great team here, because we could have just dilly-daddled going through it, but no one did. Everyone worked hard, and as I said, it's 1 million oar strokes, and it really does matter. Every single stroke does matter.
So Brooker called me probably, I don't know, 3-4 times maybe on that trip. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And before the trip, your tone was one way. And once you called me while you were on the trip, it was like I was talking to someone that was manic. Like he flipped a switch, and like in my head, if he's on land, I'm concerned as to his mental state, because it's like he's not in the right mindset. But in that moment, like that's who you have to be.
Yeah.
Like he was, dude. Like I'm getting chills right now, because he fucking turned it up.
Yeah.
Like
we went feral.
Dude,
we went
feral
quickly.
I'm not, dude. Fresh. I am not kidding.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to someone that was mentally deranged, and no matter what the circumstances were, all I kept telling him was awesome, because like motherfuckers caught in the middle of the boat. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't think you sound so good. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, you knock him off his mindset.
Yeah, no. And, like, the last thing you want to do is introduce any kind of uncertainty to already that situation, or any kind of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he keeps this up, like, he may have a fucking breakdown, right? Like, something like this can really wreck people.
Well, I don't know if I felt invincible. Actually, I felt fantastic. I felt like, you know what? I'm made to do this shit. And I think I remember at one point telling you this. I was like, bro, I feel really comfortable here, man. I think I'm meant to be doing this kind of stuff. And some people, I think they got, they say the ocean tests everybody, right? Well, there's no distractions. I mean, you can put some music on, or you might listen to a book, but really you can't escape from anywhere. And there's that beautiful quote. Have you ever heard from Ross Edgley, the guy that swam around the UK?
Yeah.
Jack dude. He went to Loughborough as well with us. He said, so often the question's irrelevant so often hard work is the answer or something like that. And you know, at the end, there's only hard work to get through it. It's a very honest sport, and it really reveals what your true nature is. And you're also thrown with always adversity and always problems, because like I said, you're wishing it's different. You know, the weather's going to come in, you're going to get injured, you know, the food is whatever it is, you know, but you still got to eat it. Yeah, like you don't get used to the sleep. You get used to the exercise, I would say. You get used to it. And actually, this is very interesting. I'm sure you'll find this interesting, Mike. You have to, well, you don't have to, but you're meant to do a minimum of 12 hours a day rowing, right? 2 hours on, 2 hours off. We always thought if you put an extra hour or 2 hours in a day, do an extra shift, that's more power in the boat, right? It's going to help you out a lot more. What is bonkers is if you only do 2 on, 2 off, it's actually a pretty chilled schedule. If you add just 1 hour, it makes you way more tired.
I believe it.
It makes you so much more tired. And by the end, we were like, it makes no sense for us to be doing this. It makes no sense at all. And it's crazy because it's such a tiny little bit more than what it is you're already doing, but it has a huge effect.
I believe it because, I mean, there's a rhythm to everything. There's a rhythm to the ocean. There's a rhythm to the way we go around the sun, right? Like there's a rhythm to everything, and all of a sudden now that's an asynchronous rhythm, and now your recovery is fucked.
Yeah.
So like if you're a 2 on 2 off, you can adapt.
Yeah.
But if you start throwing variability into that adaptation, like when you're already struggling to adapt, it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But to get ahead, I mean, Brooker was telling me he said war cries once. When I was talking to him on the phone, he was like, mate, we wanted them to know. Like we weren't sure if they were in screaming distance, like if they could hear us, but we didn't care. Like they were screaming, we were screaming at the top of our lungs, like "Rah!" Like losing our mind.
You'd wake up. You'd come out and you're a bit groggy. So it'd be like, Richie boy, give me the best roar you've got. And then we'd be like, no, it's not good enough. And then he just has to go feral. But that wakes you up. It's like one of the techniques that Tony Robbins uses, is changing your state. It makes a huge difference to you.
Yeah.
So translating this to like fitness, right? So you were on a boat for 29 days in this state, and you said like your body started getting used to the exercise.
Yeah.
Now you come back to shore. Could you? How long is that sustainable? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you have to go back into crazy mode, but you just did this task. Now, should you, maybe go maximum effort once a week to continue that momentum?
Oh no! Here, listen. So, dude, there is a shutdown when you do this shit. Listen to this.
Yeah, so it's actually quite interesting because Gummy, the mountain guide, was like, we should do a 2-hour test on the erg again, because now, I mean, really, like the last week, it felt like you can do this, I could do this forever. I'm feeling good. I mean, work 2 hours like an animal. Give yourself 10 minutes, eat something, drink something, and then you're like, fuck it, put me back in, I'm ready to go. That's how quick you could recover. It was just insane, right? By the time, when you get off the boat, it's a little bit different though, because first of all, you get used to being on the boat. You're not used to land, so your legs are not working so good. And Gummy, as I wanted to say, he was like, we should do a 2-hour test. And I was like, yeah, let's not do it yet. Let's give it some days because the residual will hold. I mean, we never ended up doing it. But your body, it's like, it just kind of, I don't know, for me at least, it really, it kind of crashed. I just got very tired. And then it took me a while to really get myself back going again into exercise. Someone like Gummy, whose life is mountaineering, and he loves to mountain bike in his off time. He was on a mountain bike within a week afterwards. And
really?
Every day, yeah. And he had some problems with his hands still. That's the thing that
neuropathy, like that type of like pins and needles.
A lot of people get the claw grip because they're not stretching out their fingers a lot and that during the time. So it took a while, and like you got your sea legs. I think it took me about 3 days to get my legs back onto land.
How long before you worked out again?
Shock. I don't know. It was probably about a month. And then I think I trained once, and then I took like another couple weeks off. You know, I wasn't motivated to do anything. I just had the biggest, peak physical accomplishment of my life. So I was not interested in really doing anything at all. I was interested in just chilling, being with my family. And then I ended up getting quite fat, and I was disgusted with myself by Christmas time.
Yeah.
So,
dude, that's so fresh.
I'm very extreme fresh. I can't.
Yeah, I could see.
I can't. I'm not the.
But
yeah, I need stuff like this.
That's real. Like the recovery that the body needs from something like that, from an insane physical feat, like you just get exhausted, and you mentally just shut down. You can't. A lot of guys can't do shit, and so Ryan loves rock climbing. Ryan went on like a 3 or 4 day, or maybe like a 5 day like excursion rock climbing in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, I was like, bro, you're going to be shot afterwards. No, I'll be fine. And he climbed like once or twice afterwards. He said, no, see, I'm good. And then he spent a month. He couldn't work out. Right. Like he was shot. Now he was busy with work and stuff, but like he was toasted.
I think a lot of it though is like you're working towards something.
Yeah. And it's now it's time to chill.
And then it's like kind of like, I could pick another goal or something, but then there's, I don't know, I think that I need that. I think I took it a little bit too far. I was lazy for too long, but whatever. I'm back in shape now. I've just been in Norway for a week and did that fight. You know what I mean?
How long after
I had no demand. I didn't need to be in shape for the next bit.
How long after your Ironman did you work out again? So fresh for if you don't know, an Ironman is when you run a marathon, bike 112 miles or 110 miles, and swim 2.5 miles in one day. He did that.
No, is it two? Oh, yeah, I know it K's. Yeah. I don't know. I think pretty quick after that. But this is a different ballgame. This is like an Ironman every day for a month.
Yeah.
It's like,
What's the science? Because you're big on science. What's the science behind 29 days of this? Remember in college, the trainers in college told me I overtrained and I stopped training for like 2 months, stopped doing everything. He just went harder than that for 29 days. What's the science? Is he blowing science out of the water? Like it's like an anomaly?
So this comes to the adaptation aspect of the body where it becomes homeostasis. Right now, when you talk about overtraining from a performance standpoint, high performance is substantially different, like sprinting and doing a marathon. Those are substantially different activities than doing things for survival. Like if it essentially was
like the mom lifting the car every day.
Right? Like, but like he just had no choice. So overtraining, not overtraining, his brain got to the point where it's like, well, this is survival. And it took him 3 or 4 days until he was done with the row for his body to actually relax and be like, holy shit, I'm exhausted. Yeah. Because his brain wouldn't allow that shit to happen. Yeah. So it's a completely, and to top it off, like, I don't think he was in peak physical condition, but he was in peak rowing all day, every day condition.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and even if you look at my, how my body looked. I didn't look like I was ripped or something. No. I didn't look like that at all, actually. I just could somehow work on the rower for an incredibly long period of time a day. But say we already mentioned him, Ross Edgley. He gained weight when he swam around the UK.
Did he?
He gained weight.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why did he gain weight?
Well, first of all, he was eating so fucking much. And second of all, they reckon it was probably just as an adaptation for the cold water to store fat. So
that's one thing. I remember my ex-phys professor, Dr. Manning, he had said that no matter what you do, the adaptation to the best long distance cold water swimmer will likely always be female.
Yeah.
Because they have a more fat on them naturally than men do. Yeah. And the natural adaptation to a lot of water work is a layer of fat because it makes you more buoyant.
Yeah. Yeah. And warm.
And warm.
Yeah.
Didn't even think the warmth.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah, but fuck me, we were warm. We were very, very warm. And again, when it was cold, I was wishing I can't wait for the heat. Get a bit of a tan going, you know. Get a couple hours in the morning before the sun gets too hot. Some at the night, you know, the struggles, Dougie. Fuck me, man.
No, I don't. I don't have any clue what those struggles.
You just get bronze
What
straight
you
away.
did, I can't fathom being on a boat.
Well, he was talking about being the ginger.
Oh,
Wait.
I'm a day walker. I'm a day walker. I get a little tan.
We had to dress up in. We looked like lepers, mate. We had like long, very lightweight, but like kind of like hoodies on to try and just protect us from the sun as much as possible. It was brutal, the heat out there. It was so intense, and we had these incredible. We had something actually. People should pay for this information because it's that big of an impact. We had a product that helped us to stay cool out there, and it was fucking unbelievable.
What was that?
It was. I can't remember.
Pay for it.
I can't remember that. To be honest, though, it's funny that I said that because I actually can't remember now the name of it.
Bro, we were about to get a sponsor for the podcast. What the hell are you doing?
I don't think they're so big of a company, to be honest. They do a lot of cooling stuff for dogs. That's what they're known for. So like dogs overheat very easily and die. So they made a lot of like these sort of vest things for dogs. But we ended up getting some of those with a hat and like a vest thing, and it's fascinating, mate. It's like there's like a material inside that it's like very fit. Imagine it's not paper, but imagine it's like very thin slices all layered up on top of each other, and then what you do is you put any kind of water, it could also be seawater, but we never use seawater, into the vest, and then you have to push the water out so it soaks into this mesh, and basically it helps you to increase your evaporation rate for sweat, so it actually keeps you cooler. It's brilliant, and it was a game changer for us.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
It's like a reverse wetsuit, kind of like a wetsuit, but like keeps you cooler rather than hotter.
Not quite. Yeah, kind of. I guess. Kind of. It's basically that it's cooler than what your body is, so it helps to take the heat off of your body. That's basically it. But it was an absolute game changer, especially the hat version of it too, which obviously your head gets very hot, especially me, and also dipshit me as well. The boys were like to me at the beginning, you should shave the bottom of your hair. go like Ragnar.
Fucking Vikings. That's why you looked like that.
And I was like, nah, I ain't gonna fucking do that. I've got long hair. I stick with the long hair. I barely even had it up in a ponytail at this point, bro. The dreadlocks that I got, my gosh, what an idiot I was, and I was baking hot as well because obviously the best thing you can do is have the back of your neck to breathe, right? But I would always have my hair out to protect my back of my neck from the sun. And anyway, long story short, I said to the boys, I promise, if we get the world record, I'll do it for sure. Then we ended up getting it. So then I'd do it, and then it was like, oh my God, I should have. What an idiot. They were helping me out here, not trying to make me look like an idiot.
It was terrible.
It's like air conditioning. Oh, I don't care about how it looked. It felt brilliant.
No one's out there to see you.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So yeah, we got any more questions?
You guys on Instagram put a question in the comments section. We can answer it live today. James or Jelly says, shout out to Brooker and Mike. Day one listener right there.
James or Jelly,
yes,
huh?
James or Jelly.
Loyal
Kraus
follower.
says, I can't imagine Mike in the middle of the ocean in a small place.
Oh, Kraus. So, Brooker, did you ever ask me, or did you know the answer?
No, I knew the answer. I wasn't going to ask you.
But I think what I said to him was, I'm not the fucking guy that would voluntarily go out in the middle of the ocean and do this shit for fun, but if shit hit the fan, I'd die looking for you.
I'd come and save you. Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's that. But like, bro, I ain't going out there voluntarily. Like, are you out of your mind? There's no fucking chance in hell. Like, I was just saying to him, I said, this is stupid. This is dumb. Like, bro, just like what? But I mean, what the fuck is the point of living? What is the point? Like, for me to wake up every day, I wake up at 4 a.m. and or 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. What time was I up this morning? 3:30 or some shit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And he walked down. He had his kids, and I was doing work. And I'm either researching, reading, or I'm doing back end stuff for business. And then after that, then I go to work at 8, 9 o'clock, and then I come back a little bit, and then I do more work, and then I go back to work. Like, is that fucking living? Like, I enjoy it, but like, is that living?
I think that's at the end. Is you get to pick if you enjoy it. I mean, like for you, it's like hell, but for me, that was like from the moment that I learned about it, it inspired me. It gave me goosebumps. I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to be there in the middle of the ocean. And now I can always go back to those moments and remember them and enjoy it. And I don't know, like I said, before I got off the boat, I was happy. I was very happy because, and of course it's very different, everyone else's experience, but we knew we were going to win the race, I think about a week out from finishing.
Oh, I thought it was earlier than that.
Maybe even earlier.
It was earlier than that.
Maybe even earlier.
2 weeks in, I think we knew.
Well, maybe you guys knew, but we did. It took us. I don't know. Maybe it was a bit longer then. Let's say about 10 days. Maybe a bit more.
Because
it was until we were 72 nautical mile ahead of them, which meant that they needed to travel 3 knots quicker than us for 24 hours, which wouldn't happen unless we had a really big, serious issue, like the boat had a big problem or something.
I think the math was like you guys could have not rowed for an entire day and still beat them.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. Yeah.
So that's untouchable.
And
unless there's like a big
equally crazy person,
which they weren't, because if they were, they would have been in the same fucking pace as him.
Like big props, these guys were serious challengers, right? Like, the captain of their team, I think he's done 4 ocean crossings already. Like one of the boys was like he was kind of like in the SWAT for the Danish police. But also in great shape, and then, like I said, an Olympic medalist. I think he got a silver medal, might be bronze. It certainly wasn't gold, but it was one of the two. But he was a very stud athlete, and the other guy on the boat was a great dude, like very good business guy, like very strong mentally. Like they had a good boat, and they had all of this going for them. So they were very strong competitors. So you couldn't, until the race was done, you couldn't forget about them, And they were hunting for us. Like they really wanted to win. But yeah, like that last week.
Why do you think they didn't beat you?
Well, I think there's many factors. I think it's impossible for me to know, to be completely honest, because I know that they broke some oars. Like I think they broke 3 oars, if I remember correctly. I know that one of their teammates had really struggles with his health. Had to start taking antibiotics, but I mean, one of our boys also had to start doing that, and also had very big problems with hands and feet. We just didn't make it public. I don't know. Is it a mixture of many things? The new boat style design. I don't know. Let's say it like this: when we left,
just go ahead and say it.
We took a gamble.
Go ahead and fucking say it.
I'll come round to it. Let me go around it in my polite English way. We took a gamble at the beginning. We went away from Hawaii, right? So much so that I still had a phone connection. And the group of friends from university, we have a WhatsApp group, and they were like, I can't tell if they're winning or if they're going the wrong way, because we were going negative miles to Hawaii. But our weather router said, punch up there because you're going to then get the benefit of better weather conditions a bit later on. And we were ahead, which we was not expecting. Our game plan was that those guys were obviously going to sprint out from the gates, and we were going to stay right close to them and break them. We were just not going to let them make distance on us. But we found ourselves then ahead. And then all of a sudden we started getting more ahead, and a bit more ahead, and a bit more ahead. And then on day 7, I believe it was, we made an error, and we went further south than we should have done. And then we lost 18 nautical miles of advantage in one day. And we went from, that's a big difference, especially early on in the race. That's a lot, right? And we lost that. They overtook us. And that day was also coincided to be Father's Day. And it was also like when everyone says, what was the hardest moment for you? That was the hardest day for me. And I don't know what it was. If it was the fact it was Father's Day, if it was the accumulation of all the fatigue or whatever, or just the minging conditions, because it was just foggy and wet and cold and windy, and it was just miserable. And also then we'd lost this advantage. It was just a very emotional day for me. I remember I kept just being upset and sometimes just crying for no reason, right? And like the boys were brilliant with me and all that, and I was like, today we don't let them pass. Not today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. And the boys were brilliant because I deserved to be just told, shut up, Brooks, go in the cabin or whatever, you know. But they were good. And then
eat shit, Brit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I deserved. It was just a bucket of water in the face and like, you're gonna sort yourself out. And then we lost that. But that whole day, I remember being so stressed. And every time, like I said, every 4 hours, your location's getting pinged into the cloud. And then I could just see them catching up. And then we were all stressed. And then we were like questioning our weather router. Why did he tell us to go down here? And you know, it's a very hard job as a weather router. Imagine that you're trying to do something from land to predict where's good and also not where's just good for now, but in 3 days and a week later. And all. It's a very difficult job, right? But this is a new experience for us. So we were like, what is going on? And we're just, everything's piling up. And then once they overtook, I remember like we all said to, like, okay, now we're in the position that we always expected to be in. And the competition is not us versus them. It's actually very much us versus us. Let's just fucking go for this now. Like, let's forget it. Even if we come second or last or whatever, let's just do the best that we possibly can and not be judging ourselves based on the others. So us versus us. Within 2 updates, I'm pretty sure by the next 4-hour update, we'd caught back up to them. And then by the one after that, we were ahead. And then after that, we flew away. And they never come. They didn't. There were certain periods where maybe they gained a bit of mile on us, but every day, at the end of the day, we improved our distance every day.
So, why didn't they beat you?
They were obviously not as good as us, were they?
So off the record, you were a full day above everybody.
No, bro. We were a couple days. We finished a couple days before the second place team. I don't know how. I think it was a good couple weeks from the last team that came in.
What was the last team was out there for 60 days? Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, maybe.
What a bunch of fucking psychos! They had enough food for 60 days.
Yeah, you take enough food for that amount of time, and depending on how many people on board, I think we had enough food also for 60 days, 50 days or 60 days, something like that.
Did you guys just throw it all away?
No, because they count it all at the end. They make sure that you're not trying to cheat and.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, they go
take
through
weight
different
off the boat.
bits. Exactly. Yeah, because it all adds up, right? There's so many ways you could also you could try to cheat. Otherwise, you know. So they try to have some kind of standard in there, like.
I don't understand why. What do you mean cheat?
The boat's lighter; it's easier to move.
Yeah, and like you have certain amount. I mean,
yeah, but how do they know that you?
Yeah, because if you go through 60 days worth of food and you've only been on the water for 29 days, it's clear that you've just been in all bits. I don't know if they would actually disqualify you for it or not, but we didn't do it. We didn't need to do it, so I don't know.
How much weight would that be?
Considerable.
Like what?
Oh, I mean, 30 days worth of food. So if you were,
And it's dried food.
It's dried food, but it still adds up, bro. There'd be hundreds of packs.
And what's each pack weigh? Like a couple of ounces? No?
I don't know. Let's say 250, 500 grams, something like that.
No, 500 grams weighs a pound each. Each dry pack weighs a pound.
You also have wet food, which is for him. So you have dry food, wet food. The wet food is for, and I should clarify this. This is like the heavier stuff. So this would be like 250, 500 grams.
Okay.
This is for emergencies only.
So you have
we had
1,000 pounds of food to start off with.
Oh, bro, no, maybe not so much, but we had a lot of fucking food. We had a lot of food. The most weight on board is the food. Yeah.
What'd you spend on food?
I think about $5,000.
Oof.
Yeah.
Matthew, did that get a moan out of you?
And it still tastes like shit, Matthew.
That's a lot of Wagyu.
So, yeah.
There we go.
Are we wrapping this up?
You
boys?
tell me. Did you say everything you wanted to say about that story? Because this is the first time that story's getting out there.
You know, it's kind of like that speech that I done in Miami. I feel like when it's done, I'll be like, fuck, I didn't say this, and I should have said this and that. But I don't know. I feel like...
Could be another episode.
I feel like I've said more or less everything. I think what I would really like to say is a big thank you to all of the people that were supporting us. We had such amazing, incredible support. And it was actually the thing that was the most shocking to me. I knew some people would be interested, and of course, like people like yourself would be like,
Bro, I stopped watching after 2 days.
how are you doing? And, you know, like making sure we were good. But we had so many people that just become obsessed with how we were doing, and were checking the tracker every 4 hours, and, you know, talking in our WhatsApp groups and sending us beautiful messages and stuff. So that meant so much to us, and definitely gave us a huge motivational push. But then also, like, we had really great coaching. As I said already, Duncan Roy, if you're going to row across an ocean and you've never done it before, make sure you get the best coach. Stupid to try and do it without one. You're wasting so much time, energy and effort without. So Duncan Roy, I can only highly recommend, and he's also become a very good friend. So of course I'm biased, but I'm going to do this again, and you can guarantee I'm going to use him again to help me out. We had Angus Collins, also another legend. So Angus and Duncan are two of the you know, most accomplished rowers in ocean rowing. They've got multiple world records with each other, and both of them were part of that Jason Caldwell's team that I mentioned before, who held the world record before we got it, of the Pacific Crossing. We had also Gus Barton helping us out, and actually this is quite interesting because even though I'm a coach, I still had someone helping us with coaching in terms of physical training, because I had no idea how to prep for such a thing, and I knew that I might actually hinder us if I believe that I know how to do this all myself. Right? So I was actually very pleased that I swallowed my ego, and I got Gus to come in and help us with the programming in terms of the rowing, a lot of the rowing, and also some of the accessory and strength work. So thank you to him too. And then, you know, the guys from World's Toughest Row, you know, Carsten and his whole team, you know, Nicky Fraser, Ian, Manny, like there's too many of them to mention, but those guys made this whole experience really a once in a lifetime thing, and it was a beautiful experience, and I can't wait to do it again. So there we go.
Nice. And now it's the Atlantic Ocean.
Now it's the Atlantic, and then I'd like to do something else after that, but I don't want to talk about that one too loud yet, because that's logistically it's a really hard one to try and do. But maybe we try and do that one after the Atlantic.
Tune in to find out what that one is.
I'm stuck with this fucking boat.
I'll tell you as soon as we go off live, Danny.
All right.
Undefeated Media.
Yes.
Doug, thank you.
Oh, my
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
You
This
guys
was
are welcome
lovely.
anytime.
Yeah,
Mi
thank you
casa
so
es
much.
tu casa.
Thank you.
Last chance, anybody on Instagram, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, your last chance.
How many people we got watching this, Doug? Is that one or zero right now? We got zero people.
No, you have 0 people. At one point you had 50. It went up and down. But yeah.
What were we talking about when we had 50 people?
I wasn't keeping track. I was making sure all the questions were answered, but it went up and down.
Both
It
questions?
was your first live. You did great. You guys did wonderful on your first live. Anything you want to get people to check out? Obviously, at Mike and Brooker on Instagram. Check out the podcast on everywhere.
Yeah, on everywhere. All right, and thanks for watching.